Good morning and welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lowdown podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior Lakers insider for Clutch Points, and today on the show, I am going to recap you on an interesting afternoon that I had. By the time you guys are watching or listening to this, yesterday is when I will have had that interesting afternoon. And it all starts with an athletic piece on the Lakers bubble title and a quote from it from Daryl Morey that obviously went very viral, and a clarification from Daryl Morey himself to myself for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and dive on in. A quick reminder, please do hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you guys are watching or listening right now. So if you guys are watching, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and then hit that share button. That stuff helps. And then if you guys are listening via podcast, please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcasts, preferably on Odyssey because I'm a company man. So I I'm just warning you guys right now. This is a bit of a wandering. This is going to be a bit of a wandering episode of the Lowdown. Usually it's a lot cleaner because I have something that I'm directly reading from or whatever. But in this case, this is going to be slightly more wandering. It's the last thing I'm recording before I hop on a plane and fly back home and see my friends and family. So let's all enjoy this and then enjoy our vacation. Well, my vacation. We'll see. All right. So the original quote that got everybody all kinds of hot and bothered came from a piece in the Athletic, in where they were recapping the the bubble title and the experience for it or of it, from the perspective of media members who were there, players who were there, coaches who were there, executives who were there. And tucked inside that piece was this quote from Daryl Morey, which read as follows, quote, "Had the Houston Rockets won the title, I absolutely would have celebrated it as legitimate, knowing the immense effort and resilience required. Yet, everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship. Perhaps the lasting legacy of the NBA bubble is that the NBA should be proud of its leadership at both the beginning and end of the pandemic, even though the champion will be forever marked by an asterisk." End quote. So, yeah, I responded to that on Twitter, sent a couple kind of snarky tweets, and then hopped on here and really kind of ripped Maury and anybody else who questions the legitimacy of that title. I stand by the way, everything that I say, everything that I said about people who want to question the legitimacy of that title. I think it's loser behavior. I think it comes from a lot of losers. And at the end of the day, that banner is not coming down. There is no asterisk that will ever be assigned to it by the NBA. And honestly, speaking just as a Lakers fan here, it's one of my favorite title teams of all time. One of the more meaningful titles ever, given that Lakers fans had to mourn the loss of Kobe Bryant. Plus, probably there are probably or almost assuredly members of the Lakers fan base that mourned actual familial loss or loss of friends by way of COVID back then. We all did. And to go through that experience and to have the release of a championship at the end of it is always going to be really special to me. So that's part of why whenever I get whenever I see or hear people questioning that championship's legitimacy, that just inherently gets me going. And that's how I kind of recorded a podcast on the heels of that piece and on the heels of that quote, which led to one of the more interesting afternoons of my career. So I finished recording or streaming. I was live for that reaction to that piece and to that quote. I finished recording. I download the audio and I'm getting ready to turn it into a podcast to eventually schedule out. And I check my Twitter DMs and see a DM from Daryl Morey. And we had a back and forth there. It was a really quick one. And initially, I don't think he thought that I had read the whole quote or that I had taken it, kind of correctly. He told me, "Hey, what's your number? Let's talk this out." We talked on the phone, and we're on the phone for 10-ish minutes or so, and talked about. It was funny. He called from a Houston number. I was like, "Are you still in Houston?" He's like, "No, I'm not, but we don't really change numbers anymore." And I said, "No, that's kind of true. I still have my 714 number from back when I lived in Southern California." Told him I live in Austin. Apparently, he has some ties here to Austin as well. And that, eventually we got past the kind of ice breaking stuff. And he said, "So, hey, just so you know, I do truly respect that championship. And I defend that championship really often to other people around the league who question its legitimacy." And I said, "Well, that wasn't necessarily purveyed by that quote." And I said that the part of the quote that was missing that would have told that part of it was that, you said that you would have respected it if the Rockets had won it. You then said that you talked to people around the league who say that the championship isn't or think that the championship isn't legitimate. And there was no like third part of that quote that would have indicated that you defend that championship to those people. You jumped straight into crediting the league for the way that they handled the pandemic and so on and so forth. And he said, "You know what? Now hearing it that way, I totally understand why you would have taken it the way that you did." Um, and he said, "Well, just to completely clarify, to completely clear the air here, I do really, respect that championship. I know how difficult a championship that was to win. I know how difficult championships are to win. That's the thing that I'm, desperate to attain is that championship." He also went on to say that he thinks Rob Pelinka is doing a fantastic job running the Lakers. He and I joked about, our my stance on Rob or my analysis of Rob and how difficult that job is. He said that while he obviously really respects the job that Rob has done, winning a championship, landing LeBron, landing AD, landing now Luka. He also went on his, joke that, the only thing that he kind of like elbows Rob with is the words that Rob uses in press conferences. And it was a really pleasant conversation. And so I exited that conversation, and that led to the piece that I wrote for Clutch Points. So we finished the conversation. We wrapped up the conversation again. Totally pleasant conversation between the two of us, and uh, I basically say, well, I told him, look, I'm going to take down the tweets that I sent. They were really snarky. I compared you to people that you probably wouldn't want to be compared to. So I will take down those tweets and send out a quick tweet about with your side of the story here and clarify what was going on there. He said, "I really appreciate it." And we had another back and forth via text about what he would what he would prefer to have on the record and stuff like that. And set sent out that tweet, which was funny to watch the reaction to, because the vast majority of people got that tweet, had it come across their timelines, and was like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then you had like Lakers fans who were like, "No, bleep this guy forever. That was nonsense." fine, whatever. And then it was also funny to get the people like, look, I would not to have people say or accuse me of lying about this is crazy. But I wouldn't have added Daryl if I was making that up. I, I also have no reason to make that up. But anyway, I sent out that tweet, and then my editors at Clutch Points were like, "Hey, can we turn this into content somehow?" And that became an article, a quick newser, really, but it was framed as this giant exclusive, which is why you see down below me, you see Daryl Morey exclusive. I'm just kind of leaning into the bit at this point. But what it really kind of struck me throughout all of this is what I kind of talked about as it pertains to my reporting about LeBron a few days ago, in that people just want the drama from their sports news. And let's talk about that next. So the quote initially comes out, and I and everybody else piles on Daryl for what eventually seems to be a miscommunication, a misunderstanding of what he wanted out there in that quote. And this is where social media, actual media, this is where I get kind of frustrated, is because rather than get that clarification, have that cross everybody's timeline and everybody say like, "Oh, okay, that makes a little more sense." People either dug their feet in the dirt and stuck by the jokes that they told, which whatever, Twitter can be just for jokes, that's fine. Or they question my legitimacy as a reporter, which I'm used to at this point. Um, but there was very little, like, in terms of, you compare my my tweet there, my report there, my actual direct conversation with Daryl Morey, not aggregated, got widely ignored by all of the aggregating accounts. So that's going to limit the footprint of this report. And basically everybody's going to run with whatever story that they want to run with. And that's what drives me so nuts about, what we talked about over the last few days with the LeBron stuff, where in an article where I talked about LeBron likely remaining with the Lakers, not just this season, but according to the people I've spoken to, beyond this season. Uh, in the middle of that report, I say something as benign as LeBron and the Lakers, or LeBron is frustrated with the Lakers with the way that they haven't had any real direction over the last few years. That goes crazy viral. It's on actual TV shows, and all of the aggregating accounts are picking it up. And like, my mentions were just a complete tire fire for like 3 days because of that nonsense. And again, nobody ever mentioned, hey, by the way, Anthony is also reporting that he thinks LeBron is going to be a Laker from here on out. No, that gets widely ignored. Nobody picks that up. And again, I've now reported 2 separate times that LeBron and Luka have been talking over the course of the offseason about the ways that they can fit together and work better together. That's been ignored. So what it comes down to is, like, all that media wants is the drama, and they want that drama because they know that the people want the drama. And in this monetization era of news and media and all these things, all that is going to traffic is, and especially in the algorithmic era, all that's going to traffic is the thing that goes crazy viral, that tends to be the most dramatic retelling of an event. And this is another kind of situation where, like, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm probably not all that thrilled with the way that people have talked about that quote. I have been Daryl Morey in that spot, not maybe to, I don't know. I feel like I've gone pretty viral for you know versions of whatever I have said there, and it sucks to be caught in that tornado. So, um, yeah, as far as this final segment of this episode goes, I would only continue to ask aggregators, algorithms, all of that, like, can we just can we stop and like fanning the flames a little bit from time to time? Can we allow the actual story? Can we fan the flames of the actual story and not the most dramatic version of the story that you would prefer to be told because you know that's what's going to traffic? Can we try that for once and maybe see if that calms the waters and calms the seas that we all have to exist in? Probably not. All right, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lowdown podcast. And I don't believe I'm going to wind up recording. Well, we'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling when I get back to when we land and when I'm there at my parents. If there's anything there that I should be going live for, maybe I'll go live. But I still have to pack. I got to get the kids ready for this flight. I got to get I got to have everything lined up for this flight. So I believe that's going to do it here for at least the next couple of days, and then maybe I'll do something on Friday. We'll see. But yeah, I want to thank Daryl for reaching out. I had a really nice time talking to him for this little story. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in and hitting that subscribe button and hitting that like button. And until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying have a great rest of your day, make somebody else's, and I will talk to you when I talk to you.
Bye, everyone.